Okay. This is going to be a real short one. We're going to talk about the idea of conservatism versus liberalism. Now, CNN, unfortunately, and Fox and MSNBC and all those other people have the whole thing wrong. It's all wrong. Conservatism and liberalism has nothing to do with party identification. It has absolutely zero, zilch, nada to do with party identification. You are not a conservative Republican. You're not a liberal Democrat. Oh, blah, blah, blah. You know what? It's wrong. I've heard it so many times I want to throw up every time I hear it because it's absolutely has nothing to do with the price of tea in China. If I see on an essay in this course, which I'm not going to assign you anything like that, but if I did and I saw the words Republican and Democrat in the same sentence Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, it's a F paper. You obviously haven't learned anything, and you're going to learn now what it really means. It just, you know, it doesn't even make sense. Okay, so here we're going to get started here. 1 second. Okay, so let's get in here and do some work. Okay. Now, what does it mean, liberal or conservative? Basically, you believe government as a liberal, you believe that government, action to achieve, equal opportunity and equality for all, and that it is the duty of the government to reduce community issues, protect civil liberties and individuals and human rights. Conservative, you believe personally that in limited government, because you believe more government, less liberty, free markets, individual liberty, personal traditional values, strong national defense. You believe the role of government should provide freedom and the necessary for people to pursue their own goals. Okay, so sort of think of it this way. As a liberal person in the US, you kind of believe that government is here to ensure a variety of things. Conservative is that government is here to ensure that you have the liberty to pursue things, but the conservative believes at the same time that government can possibly come in and affect your ability to have liberties. For example, okay, I think the internet is dangerous. Okay, government should step in and do it. Well, okay, you're going to end up at some point in time where the government is going to come and say, well, this is dangerous on the internet. That's dangerous on the internet. And if you look at how during the COVID time of the COVID, government with their buddies, Facebook and other things like that, they were saying certain things about the COVID that weren't true. Things that are just not true. That and the example I use about that, or is that to protect people. It's the government is to protect people, and that is to stay limited. Let people pursue their own things, and when there is a problem, to step in. Do the government, equal opportunity for all, and everybody should be able to do what they want. But kind of think of it this way: conservative is that you are looking to you want to preserve certain things. There are certain things that you believe that are very important and need to be preserved. Liberal, you think there are things that are important, and that things should change. There should be changes because and sort of the argument I use is arranged marriages and same-sex marriages. How do you feel about same-sex marriage? How do you feel about arranged marriages? Yeah, that's the kind of thing that both liberals and conservatives have different points of view on it. You know, The conservatives say, traditional marriage is the right thing. Liberal people say, no, same-sex marriage. Okay, if that's who you want to love, who's who you want to love. Arranged marriages, oh hell no, you know, kind of thing. So, what are you politically? This, I had you guys do this, and this little quiz, I kind of do it just for fun. To me, it's just kind of just for fun. I want, to kind of give you an idea because probably a lot of people haven't thought about themselves politically. Where am I politically? Don't ask CNN what you should think, and don't ask Fox because they know less about they know as much about politics as pigs do about Sundays. But I had you take the test and, you know, kind of think of it this way. This is what it, talks about. What does your score mean? Up here at the top, you have libertarian. Over here to the right, you have right conservative, left leaning liberal. You know, this is your more look to the community. Up near the top here, you are looking to yourself as an individual. So, when you are more left to this side, you're more concerned about your personal liberties. Your Do you feel that you have a right to privacy on your email? Do you have the right to privacy in your text messages? Do you have a right to privacy about your purchases? Over to the right, if you're, more economic liberty. If I had more money, if I had more of my fruits of my labors, I could do more things. Okay, up towards the top, I look to myself for my solutions. If I take care of me and I take care of my family, everybody in society will be okay if they do the same. Down near the bottom, you're more like Spock on Star Trek. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. That's what this means. It doesn't mean if you're to the right or to the left, you're Republican or Democrat. That's party identification. Okay. Doesn't even make sense. And, one of the things that I tell people, hang on, go back. I hit too many things. If you look at the video here, it's from a movie called Wise Guys. And there's a scene where, where Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, and I can't think of the other actor's name, they come to his mom's house and, it's in the middle of the night. She says, "Come on in," and just watch it. Just watch it. And that's very conservative. That's very conservative. They're Italian. If you come home, you have to eat. It's like one of the chuckles I get out of the Olive Garden TV show commercials. When you're here, you're Italian. My grandmother, who is Italian, my mother's maiden name was Baravelli. My grandmother would never send you to the Olive Garden. She'd say, "Oh, that's Chef Boyardee. That's Franco-American. That's canned. How do you know they wash their hands? I make better here. That would be her thing." And that's very conservative. Okay, but Roman Catholics, the vast majority of Roman Catholics up until probably about 20 years ago, from like the 60s, 1960s up to at least the 2000s, the 2010s, the vast majority of Catholics voted Democrat. They voted Democrat. Kennedy was a Catholic. Nancy Pelosi's Catholic. Joe Biden is Catholic. So, and what I say, party identification, and if you get the Catholics, what's their position on abortion? I could tell you, my grandmother would tell you, it's a sin. She'd tell you it's a sin. My late grandmother, tell you it's a sin. Democratic Party would never put up with that. You would be kicked out of the, it was like a kid. I had a student a few years ago and he asked me to help him run for state legislature. I said, I'll consult for you, but I said, I'm not going to, run a campaign. I'm too old and fat for that. And, he said, well, and I said, well, where are you at with this? And he was going to go meet with the county chairman, Democratic chairman, and he was going to have a meeting because he was interested in a position or run for state legislature. And I said, well, you're going to have to, Don't tell him you're, anti. He goes, I'm an evangelical Christian. He says, I can't not, And I said, no, don't say anything about abortion. Just stay away from the subject. And he comes back, and I said, how did it go? And he says, well, they said they call me. And I said, okay. I said, when was that? And he said, about 2 weeks ago. And I said, yeah, they're not going to call you. They got somebody else for the position. Okay. Liberal. Let's see. What's this one about? I don't. Oh, progress. Progress. Um, the video talks about progress, and I believe it's about medical progress. And he kind of insults these men, about being doctors, and what he was saying, what his whole point was is that, if we don't change things and we don't change the way people think, we're blocking progress. We're blocking science. We're blocking all kinds of things. And we're looking to move forward and, and do great things with science. And that's kind of a very liberal, you're looking to make changes. Okay. You're looking to change things. Now, one of the things that I tell students to keep in mind when you're just looking at these sorts of things, a conservative person is looking to preserve something. So, sort of think of it this way: somebody who is an environmentalist, i.e., known as a conservationist, wants to preserve nature and keep it as is, not to change it. Okay. While at the same time, you might have people who are looking to, build a shopping center or a ski resort or something, kind of like this picture back here, somebody who would want to preserve this. Now, I, as a historical preservationist, I'd say, keep it as is, don't change anything. But people would say, take out that, get rid of that mine, tear that down, move it, keep people out of there, I say, no, it's part of nature now. It's been there for a long time. This old mine it's a beautiful area. It's gorgeous. Oh, but be careful if you go up in these mountains. They're very dangerous. This is near Washington, and Bigfoot might be out there. So you don't want to run into him. But the point I make is, people wanting to preserve it, keep nature as nature. There might be people say, hey, let's go in and exploit that nature, gold mining or something. It's not going to destroy the whole area, but we can put up a little gold mine and and get the wealth out. And that's what it really is about. It's not about Republican or Democrat. Okay, there are some Democrats that are very socially very conservative. There are some Republicans that are very liberal about things. Like there's a group called the Log Cabin Republicans, which is an LGBTQ community group. That's what that's their thing. You know, so kind of keep that in mind. Back in the old days in the South, you know, uh, people were very, very conservative, but they voted Democrat. The South was controlled by Democrats from since the 1870s all the way up to about the 1960s. It was very conservative. The Northern liberals, Johnson never would have got civil rights through if it wasn't without Republican help. So party identification it's not just, oh, you're Republican, you're a conservative. You can be Republican and be very liberal. George Scarborough on the Morning Joe, he was a Republican. Um, so Kennedy was, would be considered, John Kennedy as president. He would be considered, he could be considered a Republican right now because a lot of things that the Democrats would be for, John Kennedy would be opposed to. So party identification has nothing to do with conservative and liberal. Bottom line, boil all this down to gravy. Liberal and conservative is how you look at the world, what your value systems are. Okay. I'm not here to make you a liberal or a conservative. Keep your values, they're your values. Keep your traditions if those are your traditions and you like them. Don't change a tradition if, if somebody else says, "Oh, I don't like that tradition," like, saying Merry Christmas to somebody. You know, don't we have better things to do? That's the point. Okay, that's the point. Keep These are your value systems. And your value systems, you want to conserve and preserve them. Things that are not so much your value system, you want to change. Or if it's a value system to bring in progress and change, that's your value system, but it has nothing to do with your party identification. There are liberal conservatives or liberal Republicans, and there are very conservative Democrats. My former state of Nevada, perfect example. The Speaker of the Nevada State Legislature, I knew him very well when I lived out there back in the 90s, and he used to carry a gun. He was a Democrat. He carried a gun all the time. And I said, Mr. Speaker, you're carrying a gun. He goes, yeah, so. And I said, but we don't have a permit to carry in Nevada yet. We're working on it. He goes, oh, hell. He says, I've had a permit for my whole life. And I said, how did you get it? And he says, it's in the Constitution. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. You know, he was a Democrat. Okay. And his comment to me was, in addition to that was, Rob, I come from a small town here in Nevada. It was called Pioche. And he says, hell, hardly, I don't hardly know a man out here that doesn't carry a gun. He says, gun out here is like a tool, like a hammer, an axe, pocket knife. He says, not long ago out in our town, he used to put food on the table, bandits out of our banks, rustlers off our ranges. Guns just a tool. You city folks, I'm from Orange County. I was born and raised in Southern California, but I moved to Nevada some years ago when I was after college and went to Nevada. I went to graduate school at University of Reno, University of Nevada at Reno. It was a very blue state. It still is. But if you talk to these people about guns, everybody carry, hell, I don't know, man doesn't carry a gun. He says, you can walk through our streets and parks at night and feel safe. The only thing you have to worry about in our parks at night is the rattlers, and that's true. That's true. You have to worry about the rattlesnakes. But anyway, I hope that explains to you what conservative and liberal means. It's your value system. It's what liberal means you're looking for changes, you want change. Conservative is you're looking to preserve something. Okay. And whatever that is, that's your decision. Okay. I'm not here to change it. Anyway, okay, we will stop it there and I will see you next time. Okay, let's get this done here. Okay.